Thank you, John, for joining the meeting today. Just to introduce you to our audience, so John is a Python and machine learning talent recruiter, specifically for Munich, I believe. I won't use much of the time to introduce you. Maybe you can just give an overview of what you are into and so your basic profession as a recruiter.
Yeah, sure. Thanks. Thanks for the introduction. John, I'm the managing director of a German practice in a company called Develop, and we provide searches and place software developers within Germany. More specifically to myself, I'm a headhunter just within the Munich space for Python. Main focus on Python, so that covers machine learning, data science, etc. From that area. Now we work in vertical markets, so everybody who works in our team has a specific technology that they recruit for in a city. So the main cities in Germany that we look for are Hamburg, Berlin, and Munich. Are the main key competency ones that we look for. I head up a team of 5 of us that are looking for and placing within the German market.
Okay, yeah. Moving on to the next question. How is the job market for Python and machine learning professionals here in Germany? And do you think that we have enough job opportunities for this particular technology here?
Yeah, absolutely. So do you know what this? We've seen a real increase from especially sort of December into January and probably going into this new year. I think what we've seen and sort of not dwelling on sort of the pandemic conversation, but companies are now realizing that this probably isn't going to go away anytime soon. And of course, while there might be some, a few restrictions, people are just hiring because they understand now that people can work remotely. The onboarding process isn't as bad as sort of getting someone on board from getting them all Zoom or remotely. It's not that painful. So companies have just taken the attitude of just starting to hire, which is really encouraging. And specifically within Python, and sort of going back to your question, we've seen a 46% increase in jobs this side just in December, between December and January alone. So we're starting to see some really good signs, especially within Python, machine learning area, just within Munich as well. Even if you were to type in just a real basic search on LinkedIn and Xing, we've seen between sort of 1,300 and 1,400 jobs posted just within the Python skill set. So absolutely seeing positive signs for the start of 2021.
Perfect. That's a really good news. So the next one is, what is the future of a Python developer according to you? And do you see an increasing demand? So I think you have already mentioned that, but specifically for Python developer. And if yes, then which industry do you think is mainly looking for Python developers in Germany?
Really good question. Yes, there's, I suppose the main area that the buzzword or what's on everybody's lips is around machine learning and around how that function sits within businesses, how people are using data better, how businesses are utilizing all of their data and using Python at the back end seems to be a real need and a real want from clients. So I think that's the future and where that's going. What's encouraging to see is that startups are still using it as well. So it's not, although it's quite an old, it's been around a long time, it's still being used, and that's really encouraging to see as well. It's not kind of being blown out of the water or being favored by anything else. Python's still growing within startups. Again, really encouraging sign.
Okay. Thank you. So the next question would be, do you think that the knowledge of German language is a key deciding factor if you are applying for a Python developer job role in Germany?
It's always going to be the question on everybody's lips is this role a German speaking role? I would say 65% of the roles that we have on at the moment are probably focused on finding German speakers. now, I know you and I have had a conversation away from this about the real sort of that the only language that needs to be known is the one you're coding in. But I think it's more around business practices. And a great example as well is around legislation. So a lot of the legislation that we're working with, so a client, for example, had a role where they're dealing with like German law, German legislation, and that kind of, and how that would focus in automation and changing someone's details around and personal data. So having to know that German language and be able to understand that and read it is essential to that role.
Yeah.
Now, again, it depends when we sort of when we are looking for roles and when we qualify roles, it's probably one of the first questions that we ask is this going to be a German speaking role? More and more are sort of leaning to the fact that now B1, sort of anything around that, maybe B2 is kind of acceptable. But we still do find that the German language is a deciding factor for a lot of clients. So yes, I do think it does play a huge part. And my advice would probably be to maybe start having a look at courses and things like that.
Perfect. Yeah. So the next one is, what are the things that you look at when you are reviewing a profile on LinkedIn or maybe a CV? And on what factors do you kind of shortlist those CVs or the LinkedIn profile?
Yeah, again, it's a really good question, right? Because obviously the search function on LinkedIn is getting better. It's certain years they've put a lot of money into that from a recruitment side, because I see feedback and I see lots of people be approached by recruiters when the skill set's got nothing to do with them, but somewhere along the line a search has picked up something to do with that technology, right? So I think in answer to your question and how you tailoring your LinkedIn profile might help is probably by putting a little bit more description around your current project and what you've done previously. So for an example, if I'm looking for a Python developer and you did that 10 years ago, that still comes up. Do you know what I mean? So and let's just say you've gone off and done something completely different, changed technology now, an SME in Java. If I send you a message, let's say, I can understand that being a bit of a frustration, and that could just be because it's just picked up something because there's no detail or how much detail you've gone into. So if I'm looking for a Python developer, what I really want to be seeing is what you're doing currently with Python, what you've done previously, projects you've worked on, just so I know I can differentiate a Python developer from someone else. I think that's really key. Keeping that up to date is basically your LinkedIn profile is basically your online CV. So if you're not looking after that and it's not clear, then how does that look to the outside world and potential hirers for you? You know, that kind of that to me, and I always say it as well, you know, if your CV is really well structured, really presentable, I kind of know that your CV, that you look after your work, and that kind of gives off a good impression that gives a good impression straight away to a client of, okay, look, it's all well laid out, this person's neat, tidy, it looks good, it's up to date, it's clear and concise about what they're doing in their projects. It's not 15 pages long, it looks good, and that's a really good starting point.
Okay. So that brings me to the next question, which is, do you also hire international candidates who are not in Germany at the moment? And if yes, how can one know if the job posted by you is accepting international candidates?
Yeah, again, so this question is probably governed to us by our clients and what their search and what their policy about bringing someone in from overseas is. And by that I mean, if someone says to us, look, we can do, we can get somebody in, we're happy to go worldwide, we're happy to sponsor visas, we're happy to do that, then that actually increases our search engine, right? And we can look a little bit further afield than the ones that we've already, that are already in the country.
Yeah.
I suppose sort of the world we live in today is probably it lends itself a little bit into that. Remote working is obviously a big thing, but we haven't seen a huge uptake on that at the moment. People will still, and preferences are of businesses that as soon as they can return to the office, they will, or at least put something 1 to 2 days in at the office. A flexible working pattern, it seems to be the most common theme. I suppose, yes, we as a business, we don't discard anybody that's trying to apply from other areas. I suppose what we would just like to qualify, and what we qualify out, is how easy that is to move, and how
Mhm.
easy that is, and how realistic that is for you. I've moved abroad myself, and it's, you have to, it's not just as there's lots to it, right? There's family, there's friends, there's a lot of different considerations that have to be taken into account. And I feel that that is the part where we qualify and make sure that somebody is just happy to do that move, because it's a different world, it's a different culture,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. So I think, in answer to your question, yes, we do. Yes, we don't. We don't discard anybody. If we try and, if our clients say find someone that can be abroad, then absolutely we do. Most of our clients will probably prefer someone that's either in Germany or in the European area, because it's easier for them to get across, right? Rather than just
Yeah.
a big, it's probably more ease and yeah, more suitable to them is the honest answer to that.
Yeah. Understood. Yeah. So, do you have any final set of tips for our YouTube viewers who are mainly from India and who are looking for a Python or machine learning developer job in Germany?
Yeah, probably learn German, or starting to put the foundations in to start learning German.
Yeah.
I still speak to lots of people that have lived in Germany for maybe a year plus, 2 years, and some of them are saying that they, some people can't speak it at all, which I completely, I do understand. It is, it's a language that a difficult language to pick up.
Mhm.
But conversational stuff, like just going to get coffee and things like that, people still say that they don't. So my honest answer to someone is start trying to learn the language, because I think that goes a long way
Yeah.
in trying to find that. I think keeping an English and a German version of your CV, I think that's a good start. There's lots of tools online now. Google Translate, for example, it might not
Yeah.
be absolutely word perfect, but it's a good place to start. So I think getting a CV done in English, getting a CV done in German helps. Keeping your LinkedIn profile up to date as well, I think, is a really good, easy, simple way to show people who you are, what you do. It's an online version of yourself, right? So I'd say keep that up to date. Keep that open to opportunities, if that's the case. I know LinkedIn have got that now. So again, that's a really good tool for you to be using. Um, and connecting in with recruiters, sending a personalized message. I think that really goes a long way. And sort of saying that you can speak here, and suggesting times to speak. I think that's a really good open way that people can do and find roles.
Perfect. And I would also like to know if the viewers of this channel can contact you on LinkedIn if they have queries, or if they want to apply to the jobs that you have published on LinkedIn.
Yeah, exactly. So all of my roles go on there, and 9 times out of 10, I will put, well, all of the time, if it is a German-speaking role, I will make that really clear, because
Hmm.
I feel like, if that can't be, if the client has sort of said that as an absolute sort of deal breaker, then I don't want to sort of be wasting anybody's time and saying, yeah, I'm going to submit you, and I can't. So that's definitely on there. So absolutely feel free to connect in with me. All of my jobs, all of my content goes on there, and yeah, it's open to everybody. So absolutely.
Perfect. Then thank you, John, for the time. I think that's all I had. And thank you for all the relevant tips that you have given. I
Yeah,
hope
no problem
our
at all.
audience will benefit from all these information that you have shared.
Yeah, great. Well, look, that's absolutely fine. Thank you very much for taking the time, and I hope it's of help to someone.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye.
No problem. Take care. Bye bye.